90.5 FM, Indy's positive alternative. 90.5 WQRA, Greencastle, Indianapolis. Air One.
The following program is a public affairs presentation of Air One Radio. Views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily that of the host, staff, and management. Subject content may also not be suitable for young children.
The process of becoming a naturalized citizen in the United States can be complex and confusing. With a special public affairs report on immigration, naturalization, and the citizenship process, I'm Kenny Noble Cortez. Our very special guest this week is John Broyles, founding partner of Broyles Kight and Ricafort, practicing family and immigration law based in Indianapolis and serving clients across the United States. The procedures for becoming a naturalized citizen are uniform throughout the country. I began my talk with John Broyles by asking him to fill us in on his background.
I'm originally from Louisville, Kentucky. I went to college at DePaul University in Greencastle, Indiana, before taking a job in banking for a few years and then going back to law school at Indiana University. I graduated from Indiana University in 1997 and have been practicing since that time, so I'm going into my 14th year of practice. Early in my practice, I got involved in immigration law. Primarily, the firm that I was working at represented a number of business entities and did a lot in the area of sports and immigration. So one of my first immigration cases ever handled was working to bring an Indianapolis race car driver here to participate in the Indy 500. And then since then, I've left that firm and I started my own firm, Broyles Kight and Ricafort, in January 2000, and since we've grown into a firm of about 11 attorneys serving immigration and family law needs of those throughout central Indiana and some of the surrounding states. Because immigration law is national in scope, we're able to represent individuals from regardless of where they are. And so our immigration practice has kind of expanded and grown to represent people not only in Indiana but throughout the United States and abroad.
That was really my next question, so I appreciate you answering that ahead of time. And just to state for those who are listening, this will be airing on a number of our affiliates, including WQRA in the Greencastle, Indianapolis area, KLVA, KZAI, KLVK in the Phoenix Metro, WKVK in the Raleigh-Durham area, and WKMZ in the Mukwonago, Wisconsin area. So just to state again, the principles, the procedures that are required to become a citizen, a naturalized citizen, are consistent throughout these areas.
That is true. To become a citizen of the United States, it's if you weren't born here, it's through a process called naturalization. And because immigration law is federal in nature, it applies consistently regardless of the state that you're located in.
We're talking with John Broyles, founding partner of Broyles Kight and Ricafort, family law practice and immigration attorneys, on the complex topic of immigration, naturalization, and citizenship in the United States. Are immigrants desiring to become citizens ever reluctant to contact you because of negative stereotypes in the news or maybe other factors, a fear of the unknown, that kind of thing?
Well, I think most immigrants, any time that they're applying for an immigration benefit, do so with some trepidation or concerns. Our immigration system has become extremely complex, and I think one of the reasons that many have urged our government leaders to seek out comprehensive immigration reform is because they understand that complexity. And we need a simpler, more streamlined system with not so many gotchas in it. I mean, there are all of these, rules within our immigration system that can really trip people up unknowingly, and they can have severe consequences. So I think most people, anytime they are applying for an immigration benefit have some, concerns. And I think the best thing to often do is try to get those concerns and issues brought to an attorney in a confidential situation so that they can be addressed before they go in and apply for some benefit.
What are the similarities between an individual who desires to become a citizen of the United States, who is, let's say they come from Toronto, and they are now living in the Indianapolis area, as compared to someone who is from Monterrey, Mexico, and is now living in the Phoenix metro area? They're pretty much going to do the very same things to become citizens, correct?
They are. They are going to have to, file a application, what we call an N-400. There are certain requirements that they must meet. They must be over the age of 18 years old at the time of filing. They must have physical presence and residence in the United States. So there are certain physical presence requirements that if you're filing in a certain jurisdiction, you must have lived there for a certain period of time. And there's certain overall residency requirements. Since becoming a permanent resident, you must have spent a certain amount of time in the United States. They must be people of good moral character, and that can be kind of a complex area to ascertain. There are certain things that you can do that can strip you of your good moral character. So people with any sort of past criminal convictions or things like that should probably talk with an immigration attorney before applying. They got to adhere or be willing to adhere to the principles of our Constitution, and then they have to have literacy in the English language. So they're going to have to speak a certain level of English unless they qualify for one of the exceptions to the English language requirements. And then finally, they have to take the test, the knowledge of U.S. history and government, which has recently been revised, but it's still essentially the officers are going to draw 10 questions from a list of about 100 questions, and the applicant must get at least 6 of those correct during the exam process. So those are essentially the basic requirements, and those are going to be the same regardless of where somebody is applying for naturalization.
We're talking with John Broyles, founding partner of Broyles Kight and Ricafort, family law practice and immigration attorneys, on the complex topic of immigration, naturalization, and citizenship in the United States. Can you give us an example of one or two of those questions, and typically how long does that test take? And in your view, is the test a complicated test? Is it hard?
Well, a typical question may be like, who is the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court currently? That may be one question, and that's John Roberts. It may be a question on who is the Commander-in-Chief of our military. Well, that would be President Obama. So I think the questions are fairly straightforward, but I think the benefit is that the Immigration Service has come out with a number of very, very good tools to help people prepare. Number one, after you file your naturalization application and you go for your biometrics appointment, most offices are giving out a study guide that you get, as well as an audio CD that you can listen to in your car on the way to work that helps you prepare for this. And again, since the questions don't change, it's basically one can study the questions that they're given, and if they learn those answers, they shouldn't have any problems passing the naturalization exam. I
think one of the questions that many new applicants would certainly ask would be the cost. Did you have to be wealthy to become a new citizen, or are the costs nominal, the fees, that kind of thing?
The cost, I wish, were nominal, but in the last fee increase, the application fee alone went up to $675. I consider that pretty expensive. And I guess the only other cost is that you must have made sure that you've are current on any tax liabilities and tax obligations. So that's usually something that you're asked at your naturalization interview. Have you been paying taxes? And that can be costly for some. Well, I know every April 15th, I sometimes don't like writing that check.
I don't think anybody does. Is it easier to become, I assume it is, easier to become a citizen if you have legal representation as opposed to trying to do it on your own, because there's so many issues involved. And as you stated earlier, it is a complex process. So I'm sure that that does increase the cost. But obviously, I'm thinking that you would recommend, if someone is able to, that they should probably go to an attorney to help them out through this process.
I do that with a caveat because I think many attorneys are trying to work to unbundle their legal services. I mean, used to it was, the attorney would want you to hire them for the entire process. And I think what we've tried to do at our firm is sort of unbundle, because not everybody can afford an attorney. So we have tried to at least make it possible where you can get that consultation, and you're going to at least know from that consultation what some of the issues that are likely to arise in your case will be, and whether you feel you need representation to overcome some of those issues. At the end of that consultation, many times I'm telling clients, I don't see any major impediments to you naturalizing, so it may be something that, yes, definitely you can handle on your own. And we try to advise clients of that to save them money from going through the expense of having an attorney throughout the representation. But in cases where clients have complex cases, we're there to let them know before they wade into something that they may not want to. And again, at the naturalization process, it's your background check is going to be checked again anytime you apply for an immigration benefit. And so we have had many clients come in that we've been able to forewarn before applying. It's maybe not the best time, and maybe we should do some other things first before applying for naturalization, or wait a little more period of time so that some of these things that may be hurdles to you becoming the U.S. citizen can be worked out before you go in and apply.
You mentioned unbundle. That was a little bit unclear to me, and it came across somewhat in my uneducated mind as almost an a la carte service. Is that what you were suggesting?
That is. I think that's essentially what a lot of immigration attorneys are working to try to go to, that you can pick and choose the types of services that you may need. Somebody may only need a detailed consultation that can run through all of the elements to a successful naturalization application, as well as all of the bars to naturalization, just to make sure that none of those apply to them. Somebody else may have a criminal issue, and they may need representation to prepare, a brief to the Immigration Service as to why that may not be a crime impacting one's good moral character. We are available to, kind of do things on a piecemeal basis based upon what that particular client needs at that time.